The Canadian real estate market is crashing as prices collapse. In this video, I want to talk about 3 cities specifically, 2 of which just set all-time price highs. Let's dive into it. Hey there, and welcome back to 𝗿𝗲𝗴𝗁 Real Estate. My name is 𝗵𝗲𝗴𝗁 from a real estate agent in Regina, and that is my trusted assistant, 𝗵𝗲𝗏. This is my monthly Canadian real estate market update for November 2025, focusing on Quebec City, Montreal, and Halifax. And yes, 2 of those cities just set new all-time record highs for home prices. That's why I like doing these regional breakdowns so you can see exactly what's going on in different cities in Canada. If you want to know what's going on in Calgary, Regina, Toronto, etc., I've got separate videos. I'll put them in the description below so you can jump directly to those. But of course, this would not be a 𝗿𝗲𝗴𝗁 real estate video without one of my terrible bad dad jokes to start us off. How does a bumblebee brush their hair? With a honeycomb, of course. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future video, put it in the comments below. Now let's get you up to speed on the Canadian real estate market. It's been really interesting watching the Halifax real estate market this year because it's not the insane, crazy busy it has been previously, but it's still a very active one, especially in that like sub $600,000 price point. That is by far where they're much busier market. The more expensive stuff, definitely not. So let's dive into the stats here and kind of see what types of trends are going on right now. This month's home sales, almost 500 homes, was a pretty solid month. You can see up year over year, but it was down versus the 5-year. With 2 months left in the year, you're probably going to see about 5,000 homes sell in Halifax this year, and that would put it above last year, year before, basically on par with 2022. Right now, Halifax is still very busy compared to what it typically is. You want another treat? That's what she's begging for. Go back to your spot. In terms of new listings, there's actually a fairly sizable drop in new listings month to month. Now, a drop isn't unusual, but this one was definitely one of the larger ones over the last few years. The good news as a home buyer in Halifax is that we've seen more new listings this year than there was last year, so more choice for you. And it's looking like they're going to end the year in Halifax with around 6,800 new listings for the entire year. That put it above 23 or above 2024. Now, active inventory is finally starting to add up a little bit in Halifax. When I'm talking with agents in Halifax, they say to me, it used to be 12, 13, 1,400 listings this time of year was normal, and we're just starting to get back to that, kind of balancing things out for buyers. And you can see in the trend here, the beginning of the year, we saw inventory tighten up a little bit. It's still been above last year and above the 5 average basically all year long. But now we've seen the last few months, active inventory is up 50 to almost 60% above the 5-year average. And you can see it in the months of inventory metric here. It's been in the high range of a seller's market to the bottom end of a range of a balanced market. Halifax hasn't moved much off of that, but it hasn't gotten deeper in a seller's market. So for buyers, things are improving a little bit. It's just very, very slowly. And now let's talk prices. The beginning of the year, and Halifax uses average price. They don't have benchmark price, so I've got to use average, and I don't like it. And you'll see here how much it bounces around all over the place. Like there's $10,000, $20,000 swings per month because when you only have 300, 400, 500 homes that sell in a month, those prices swing wildly. But it sure makes it easy to make fun headlines like prices up or down $20,000 for my shorts. You check those out if you haven't. Kind of where I think things are going to end this year is I actually think the average price is going to drop below $500,000 this year, which would be kind of an interesting thing to see because all year we've been above $600,000 in Halifax. And it will also mean from the start of the year to the end of the year, we'll actually probably end with a downward trend on prices. Again, things are really volatile with average price, but just kind of my speculation where things land in Halifax. I want to pause this video really fast, tell you a quick story. I'm currently helping a young couple buy their very first house in Regina. They actually moved from Vancouver to Regina because it's one of the few cities in Canada where they could actually afford to buy a house. But Montreal, Quebec City, and Halifax all have much more affordable real estate than most other places in the country. So if you're sitting there watching this going, I'd like to buy a house, but I don't know where to start, I got you covered. Because if you look in the description of this video, there's gonna be a link to my calendar where you can book me in for a buyer's consultation. I wanna call you, learn about what's important to you, and then I'm gonna handpick a fantastic agent for you to help you make that purchase. Let's get back to the video. The Quebec real estate market has been crazy for the last couple of years. We'll start off talking about Montreal here. Talking with a friend of mine in Montreal, and he goes, I wish I had something fun and exciting to tell you other than it is really busy right now. Unsurprisingly, it's going to be single family and actually multifamily type properties that are selling the best in Montreal. Some of those neighborhoods are up 20% year over year. I mean, that's bonkers numbers. Downtown condos, those continue to struggle still. Last month, Montreal, they had almost 4,000 homes sold. And if you go back through the years, there's only a handful of months in this time frame that you're going to get over 4,000 sales. So a very busy month. And then just looking kind of where things are going to end up, they're probably going to get awfully close to 50,000 home sales this year in Montreal, which would put it well above last year. That's the type of numbers they're doing in Halifax. We're talking like early low interest rate time frame when Mark was going bonkers. That's types of sales numbers they got going on right now. But at least there's some good news for home buyers in terms of new listings. Now, that's also partially why they're getting more sales, because there's more stuff to sell. But when you see it here, 6,500 new listings a month, up versus the 5-year, up versus last year. And in fact, you have to go all the way back to 2020 to have a month where they've got more new listings in the month. And kind of based on where things are looking like are going to shape up this year, probably going to be at 73, 74, 75,000 homes newly listed for sale this year. That's up substantially from any year in the last 10 years. But we'll talk about an active inventory. They need that in Montreal. Currently 19,000 active listings. As you can see, up versus last year, up significantly versus the 5-year average. But the 5-year average is so low, it really just doesn't give people the true context of what is normal in Montreal. So they are the second biggest real estate market. People kind of, I think, forget how big Montreal is because everybody talks about Vancouver, Toronto. Now, taking a look at the market balance metrics, we actually saw the market tighten up a little bit in terms of months of inventory, still in that balance market territory. Now, looking at sales to new listing ratio, we tip back into a seller's market according to this metric when we're at 60.4. So just touched it there. And then if you look at it, it's pretty similar to where we were this time last year at 62, much bigger than 23 and 22 though. When looking at the sales to active listing ratio, that also got higher, just kind of on the edge there of that seller's market territory. But this is what's happening in terms of our market balance. The market predominantly favors sellers in Montreal. And so no surprise, prices have been increasing. Now, I've got the benchmark price here at about $581,000. They haven't published the official benchmark price. That comes out on usually the 15th, 16th, 17th, and I'm recording this, we're on November 11th actually. So I guesstimated this based on kind of where I saw median prices, average prices moving, and some trends. If this holds up at $581,000, that will actually be a record high for Montreal. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll talk about it next month if prices are dramatically different and I got this wrong, but it's looking like here we're going to see a new price record for Montreal, or awfully close if we don't get there. Prices probably going to end the year, between $570,000 and $590,000, kind of depending how things shape up. Be a substantial year-over-year increase. Probably going to see Montreal having the largest year-over-year price increases in all of Canada this year, outside of Quebec City. Let's talk about Quebec City now. Massive price increases going on there. And I will say this time and time again, please take this to heart. It's going to slow down. Prices are not going to go 10, 15, 20% up year after year. I just don't know when this is going to slow down. I'm just saying it will at some point here. So if you're an investor and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get into that Quebec market and make a quick 20%, just understand it's going to flip at some point, and you just don't know when that's going to happen. Let's look at sales. I want you to think about this for a second. In essentially the last decade, there's been 13 total months where there's been more than 1,000 homes have sold in a single month. 4 of them have been just this year. And kind of based on where things are at, most likely Quebec City will see somewhere around 10,600 to 11,000 home sales. If they get over 10,600, which is, I'd say, fairly likely at this point, that will be a record for the most homes ever sold in the year. I know as a buyer, you've been badly waiting for this to happen. Probably going to see about 12,000 new listings through the course of the year. That would be the most new listings since 2019 in Quebec City. So desperately need it in Quebec City. They're finally getting it. And because they're getting more new listings, we're seeing active inventory, I'm going to call it building up. It's just increasing a little bit here. So almost 2,000 active listings right now. Still, I mean, well below last year. They've got nothing even close to this, but versus the 5-year average, you can see it's getting slightly better because, they're not down 50%, they're only down 40% now. In terms of market balance, you can see months of inventory actually tightened up a little bit at 2.4. No surprise here, still well into a seller's market in Quebec City. And until they see significant increases in new listings, it's going to be in that area for quite a while. And now let's talk home prices. If this holds at $430,000, that will be an all-time record high for home prices in Quebec City. I think it's going to be awfully close there. Once we actually get the numbers, I'll put them out in next month's video. So we'll see how close I got on my estimation here. Either way, massive year-over-year increases, 15, 16, 17%. I don't know when or why, but this is unsustainable. It will slow down here at some point. So yeah, prices are absolutely on a rocket ship ride right now in Quebec City. And I'm just curious, what do you guys think is driving home prices there? Maybe we'll take some of the best answers and we'll go talk to Quebec agents there and see how close though you guys get to what's been driving things. Let me know in the comments.